My family, hey, so Pastor Chris here say this about Trump and President Putin. Let's get into
some things. And I was talking about Russia a moment ago. Do you realize that years ago, Russia was like a no-go place? Because it had a lot of anti-Christian stance. And Christians around the world were praying, interceding for Russia. Then it was USSR. Communist Russia. It was the prayers of God's people that brought about a turnaround in that nation. First, it was actually by the power of God that saw the dissolution of the USSR. Because no matter how you look at it, the structure was such that it was being built on very anti-Christian policies.
100 years ago in Russia, there were events like those that took place in Rome 19 centuries ago. The persecution of Christians. A lot of bishops, lay people, and priests were tortured and martyred only for the fact that they professed the faith of Christ. Before the revolution in 1914, there were about 70,000 representatives of the clergy in Russia. But by the end of 1937, only 100 remained alive and free. Imagine the scale of these persecutions. The priests, the bishops, and the laity were killed in the most brutal ways. Some of them were executed by impalement. Some were torn apart by horses. Some were crucified on the royal gates of the church's altars. Some were simply shot in test sites, in woods, and in prisons. Of course, most of the martyrs were Orthodox, but there were also people of other faiths. In particular, of course, there were amazing Russian Catholic martyrs. There were few in Russia compared to the Orthodox, but of course, this proportion makes them great martyrs. They also were amazing saints, and we've dedicated a separate stand that tells the story of these Russian Catholics.
Русским католикам, мученикам у нас посвящен здесь отдельный стенд и отдельный рассказ.
I would summarize it in one sentence, which was used by Pope Francis and is very evocative, also because he pronounced it in front of the Holy Sepulchre. The ecumenism of suffering and of blood. Our two churches have in common not only veneration for many martyrs of the past, a common veneration that started with Saint Stephen, the first martyr, but also for modern ones, starting from the martyrs of the Revolution onwards. Both churches have had a trail of blood bearing witness to their faith.
Per testimoniare la propria fede.
С одной стороны, мученики отдавали свою жизнь.
On one hand, the martyrs gave their lives, and it seemed that the mission had ended. Hundreds and thousands of churches and almost all of the monasteries in Russia were destroyed. But on the other hand, it was their victory. No one could break their spirit. No one. Not even the huge totalitarian Soviet state.
Огромное тоталитарное советское государство в том, что сегодня...
In fact, today, millions and millions of people have come back to their faith in the post-atheistic spaces in the former Soviet Union, primarily in Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, and Kazakhstan. It is to the tremendous merit of the new martyrs. It was they who kept the faith. It was they who showed how a disciple of Christ should be. It was they who showed with their lives how to fulfill the commandments of Christ.
The current president of Russia, is one of the major defenders of Christianity today.
Yes, sir.
How many leaders of European countries defend Christianity publicly? How many? And that's the thing that's distinguished some of the leaders very clearly, like Trump, Donald Trump, the president of the United States, for example, and then the president of Viktor Orban of Hungary, you know, these are bold about defending Christianity. And if you don't think that is important, you better realize it is important. It is important. Some others are Christians, but they don't boldly defend Christianity. And the tenets and values of Christianity. Some are answering Bible names, but doing very anti-Christian things in their countries and even persecuting the churches.
Yes, sir.
So don't be deceived. So I'm not looking at the politicking here. I'm looking at what glorifies God, not what makes you happy. What glorifies God. So if you're there and you don't like the stand that we take in things like this, I'm just letting you know what governs our thinking and the direction we take is the love of Jesus Christ. If you show him love, I support you. If you make mistakes, I pray for you. You see the difference? I want you to understand the difference. So they may make mistakes, but we pray for them. Why? Because they love the Lord.
Yes, sir.
But if you don't love the Lord, I highlight your mistake and pray to God to remove you.
Sir.
Because of the people that are destroyed by bad leadership. I talked about what's happening in one of the states in the US yesterday. So Governor Walz should step down. Should step down. And he and that mayor, they're just trying to cover their corruption. The fraud that's taking place in that state.
Yes, sir.
But it's not going to work.
Yes, sir.
You cannot go into a church and do the kind of things that you did. And now they're abusing people in the streets.
Yes.
They're doing the same thing in the streets.
Yes, sir.
Marking out conservatives, like they say, and subjecting them to horrendous experiences. Unacceptable.
Yes, sir.
That's bad leadership. So, it's important. You better know that such things are important. You come into a country, you want to see the signs of the fear of God. Number one is that the churches are able to serve God in peace. Not the government going after them. You want to know how are the people, how are they living for God? Are they free to express themselves before the Lord? Those are the things that make a nation truly great, because the greatness of a people, or rather of a nation, is their people. What are they like? What do they know about God? How are they free to serve God? How are they free to serve God? That's number one. But when they send out the police to be hounding you, going after worshippers, preachers, pastors, that's not good. That's not good. It's usually one of the signs of a crumbling government. Such governments don't last.
So, my family, that was Pastor Chris as he was explaining his stance on his support for President Trump and President Putin. Well, I chose not to, talk a lot about other things. Some of those things can be flagged, by YouTube. So that is all the men of God had to say. If there are any new updates, I will do share them with you. And in other news, here is a latest prophetic word from Brother Brandon concerning President Trump. And I'll meet you in the next one. As always, I would like to hear your thoughts concerning this matter. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. God bless you.
Yep, the very decisions that will be made over this next couple of days, it will bring an acceleration of end-time events. It will bring a great acceleration of end-time events. What you are about to see is another linchpin. It's whenever you see a door, and every single combination, whenever you're opening a big safe, every single combination makes that pin tick to open this great door. And the great door that is before Trump, the pin to the combination, this pin that's to the, I see the door, and the door is opening up, and the decisions that will be made even in the next couple of days will bring an acceleration to the end time events. Kingdoms will rise against kingdom.